All right, so welcome everyone. Good evening. It's good morning to Osbert. He's joining us and he's going to tell us a little bit about where he's joining us from. And I really am very excited to give Osbert this opportunity to speak to us at 21st Century Educators about Edcafe AI. And for those of you who have been following 21st Century Educators for a while, you know that if I'm excited about something, it means it's good, right? So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Osbert because I really want him to spend the hour with us. And I will continue letting people in. If you have questions or, you want to comment on something, feel free to put it in the chat. And I will pause and ask Osbert for some more clarification if necessary. All right. So, hi. Onilaja is from Trinidad and Tobago, Qualified Education and Special Ed, and Michelle Stewart McCoy from UE Mona, for educational developer with responsibilities teaching 21st century educators, a Spanish facilitator before. So you have a wide crowd and more people are coming in. All right, so hopefully they're not going to be too distracting as I let them in. You can ignore those, I will take care of that. All right, so I'm signing off. Welcome everyone, and I hand over to Osbert.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Leanne. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. And to everyone tuned in tonight, good evening, good morning from where I am. I'm from Asia. I'm really just glad to be sharing this same learning space together for this session. Just like what Leanne said, my name is Osbert, and I'm very happy to share with you a new technology in education today, which is called Edcafe AI. A little over a few weeks ago, Leanne and I has had the chance to connect and touch base and have her try Edcafe AI. And just like what she said, it's a very amazing tool that I personally believe is something that could be a game changer for classrooms everywhere. And so without further ado, I think I could start sharing my screen from here. I am assuming that not a lot of you had encountered Edcafe AI as a brand or as a tool just yet, but no worries, because with this session, I am going to be walking you through some contextual explanations on what makes Edcafe AI different, what it is, what makes it stand out, and then a good chunk of the rest of the presentation would be more on the walkthrough style kind of thing where I would demo the platform and hopefully get you also to do the same things as I do on screen live. So we can make it more like a live workshop rather than just a one-way webinar, if that's okay. But before that, assuming that you're joining this, I would be thinking that most of you would have firsthand experience already on the use of AI in education, being it that this is a webinar, a workshop on saving time using an AI tool called Edcafe AI. And so I have this warm-up question just so we could test out the crowd. I'm really, really curious what you come up with, but if AI could take over one of your least favorite teacher tasks, which would it be? I think I'm just really excited to see what you come up with. It could be grading, it could be lesson planning. With lots of AI tools out there, there could be lots of different use cases for AI, but top of mind, what are the few things that you think are so time consuming you'd like AI to do for you instead? I'm just going to go back up top because I'm seeing a lot of your responses already coming in. I have one from Daitra, marking from Roan, planning, Marsha, again, marking and grading. From Michelle, it's writing reports with those statistics with an exclamation point. I do know that that could be really stressful. We're all, that's all very relatable. I think I'm seeing lots of grading, marking, planning. Roan also said differentiated instruction. Of course, I think that's very much doable with AI. Data analysis, definitely, Katie, that is something that AI could help you with. Teach, of course. Planning teaching methods, most of them are revolving around marking and lesson planning. And thank you so much for these great responses. I still see a couple that are coming in. Again, thank you so much for answering this question. These are some of the things actually that I personally would want to show you around in terms of um, Edcafe AI solving them on the daily, and I cannot wait really to show you how magnificent this tool is. But to just give you a little bit of a surprise, I'm not sure if Leah was able to tell all of you, but today we're going to be giving away 3 Edcafe AI premium accounts to 3 lucky winners. I am going to be spinning a wheel of names towards the middle of the session and again towards the end, just so we could give away 3 Edcafe AI premium accounts. This means that you can access Edcafe AI without limitations. But in terms of different tiers and pricing that we have, we are going to be going through that towards the end of the session as well. So I hope you stick with us until the end, just so you can test your luck with our giveaway of Edcafe AI premium accounts. Now, what is Edcafe AI? This is mainly this is you mainly meeting the product by concept, just like what I've put in the title slide. Edcafe AI lets you brew or create teaching materials with AI. Now, I know it's going to be pretty vague if you hear an AI tool helping you create something, but what makes Edcafe AI different is how it supports your every piece of your teaching workflow. And it doesn't just stop at content creation for you. It also supports you in mobilizing whatever content or resource that you create straight to students and helps you assess that by giving feedback, auto scoring, marking, grading, and assessment for later review. So lots of different things that makes Edcafe AI support the full teaching cycle, which we will be exploring together today. Now, I do encourage all of you tuned into this session, whatever device you're using, whether that be a laptop or a phone, you can go ahead and sign up for a free account for starters. You can visit www.edcafe.ai, or you can also just scan this QR code, probably get a screenshot of this if you want to do it later. No worries, no pressure. But to those of you who'd like to go through the flow of the presentation later, as I go through the walkthrough demo of the platform, this would be a great chance for us to work on the same things together at the same time. So I'll give you a few moments to get through the sign up process. It's pretty straightforward. Once you enter our website at edcafe.ai, you'd see 2 buttons for Get Started Now up top and down here for teachers as well. And you just have to put in some information about you, and that's when you can be redirected to the web app, which we'll be working on together a little later. So again, you can take a screenshot of this with a QR code if you'd like to do this a little bit later, but no worries, we're going to be flashing the same screen again towards the end of the session. So as you go through the sign-up process, it's totally fine. Take your time. I am going to, however, move forward with our slides. As you all know, something that is really timely and relevant, I would say, in today's classrooms is the concept of generative AI. And by concept, by context, generative AI is a technology that helps you generate something, generate content. For teachers specifically, this could mean you being able to generate lesson plans, text-based resources like quiz questions, writing reports, probably student emails. But generative AI is actually something that's completely different from a newer technology that we call interactive AI. Because right now we have popular large language models, as you know, like ChatGPT, Perplexity, QuenChat, and these are already amazing tools in the education space. But the thing about what makes Edcafe AI stand out is how it supports you even after you generate your content. So a couple of things that makes, oops, I'm not sure why it's not showing the full screen. Let me just adjust this very quickly. Okay. Hold one sec. I probably can share a different screen instead so we can see the full table. So sorry about that.
That's
Okay.
okay. And while you're pulling that table up, just a couple of persons came in. So welcome. Yes, we just started. So welcome everyone.
Right. Okay, so right here, sorry for that hiccup. I have here the table on what makes Edcafe AI stand out. Again, building from the idea of being interactive AI, just like what I told you guys earlier. One of the things that Edcafe AI aims to solve is to help support you after content generation, meaning not just stopping at something that's text-based. Say, for example, a good use case is when you create quiz questions in ChatGPT. You already have your quiz questions, but what happens after that is completely up to you. Do you put those quiz questions in a form? Do you put them on a separate doc and print them out to students and give them yourself? These things are some things that you have to figure out yourself as a teacher, and this could take so much time after, because while you already have your main ideas for, say, quiz questions, the manual work that comes after still take up a hefty amount of time. But with Edcafe AI, it helps you generate and build on interactive content that lets you assign those content directly to students with just QR codes and links, and those are accessible on any device, so you can support anytime, anywhere learning. And also comes with that is not just um, feedback ideas or brainstorming ideas with you on how you could personalize grading, but instead does that exact scoring and feedback for you, and in return would give you dynamic tracking dashboards to help you further your assessment and review right after. These things are a lot of different things that are good to hear, but they are better if I could show you around. But a couple of features that makes that possible are advanced features that no other AI does better, which I'm very happy to show you one by one as we go through our workshop. A couple other things is the ability to bring your own knowledge, because with Edcafe AI, we don't want AI to completely replace you and take over the work that you do, but instead work on whatever is existing within your workflow, work on whatever is existing within your documents, your files, and make use of that to create new content, just so you don't have to start from scratch and redo everything else that you have to do. Another is smart AI that directly interacts with your students, specifically with student-facing chatbots. You could think of it much like creating your own ChatGPT and making students interact with that directly, just so they could have probably another you, an extension of you as their teacher, and it could serve them 24/7 with minimal supervision from you needed. And then lastly, a Google Drive-like space for you, just so you don't have to worry about where your content would go after generation and creation, because this is all systemized just so you can organize your resources better. Now, this is how it looks like in terms of the features that we have on Edcafe AI, because we want to support everyday teaching minus the overwhelm. With already amazing tools in the market, we all know that there could be 50, 60, 70 different tools in one platform, and that could be something that's overwhelming, especially for a teacher. If you're jumping new to AI in education, it could be something that's could hold you back, because there's so many, there's such a steep learning curve that you have to go through. But with Edcafe AI, we tried to synthesize everything that you need for every day across 3 different categories. We have planning, teaching and learning materials, and assessment. Again, we'll go through all of these features in a while as we do our workshop. These are some of our popular features that most teachers that use Edcafe AI truly love. We have a slides generator, just like what I've mentioned earlier, our student-facing chatbots that you can fully customize on your own, assignment grader to help you with grading and feedback, flashcards, quiz, and lesson planning. But these are just 6 of the many features that we have on Edcafe AI, which I'm very excited for you to see. So far with that one-pager menu and some of our popular features, before we dive into the web app, um, anything that caught your eye so far? I mainly want to know, just so we could test out, we can see the pulse of what interests you the most in terms of Edcafe AI's feature. Roan said flashcards. Didra is leaning towards chatbot. Kay is leaning towards slide deck. I love that we're all going through different features in here. Chatbot, lots of chatbot actually. Yes, that's really nice. From Megan, from Michelle. Hi, Shantair. Chatbot as well from Shauna. Rose Ann right here wants to know more about the quiz maker. All of these things we're going to go through one by one. And again, if you've already signed up for an Edcafe AI account, that would be ideal. So we can go through it together as I do the demo, much like a workshop than just a webinar. So with that, again, thank you so much for some great responses coming in. I hope we can keep this energy and interaction all throughout the session, but I'm very excited to go through the web app together with you. If you've signed up, you are going to be automatically redirected to our web app, which is at app.edcafe.ai. But if you already have an account, which I'm not going to be assuming most of you are, you can just go straight to app.edcafe.ai. I'm going to switch my screens very quickly to show you around the actual platform. Okay, hope my screen is visible. Right here is where the web app is. If you've signed up, again, you're going to be redirected directly right in here. If you'd like to visit it yourself, you can go ahead and key in app.edcafe.ai using any browser. And as you can see in here, it's very intuitive, interface-wise, very clean. We kept it very minimal, just so it's not overwhelming for teachers. You can just go ahead and click on Create New, and you will see our one-pager menu of all the tools that you can make use of in Edcafe AI. Just like what I've mentioned, we have 3 categories for planning, learning materials, and assessment. I'm going to go down the line and start with planning, and probably start with lesson plan, because this is where usually like a teaching workflow would start by creating a good crafted lesson plan for your curriculum. Now, let me just go ahead and minimize this just so it's easier. All right. Okay, as you can see on your screens, the first thing that we have to put in are your input sources. You have different input sources such as topic, text, web page, or file. Mainly, this is where the AI would draw your lesson plan from. So if we're talking about a simple topic, I would put in, for demo's sake, I would put in Jamaican cultural heritage, because I want to create a lesson plan circling around that topic. And down here is a fields for additional instructions, where you could be really specific on what kind of lesson plan you want to create. I have in here a prompt that prompt AI to create a 60-minute lesson plan that includes activity for mixed ability classrooms, including dedicated sections that incorporates local Jamaican music or cultural references to engage the students. Again, if you were to use something that's more like a large language model, like ChatGPT, for example, it would require you to make use of really good prompt engineering for you to be able to create something like a lesson plan, for example, because you would have to start your prompts from scratch. But with Edcafe AI, as you can see in the UI and the interface, we already have guided prompt fields. You have your input sources, you have your additional instructions. That way, it's easier for you to create something out of scratch. Down here, you also have the option to include online resources in your lesson plan, which I'm going to show you how that looks like once it's generated, and also the option to tag standards. I would tag National Standards Curriculum, or NSC, in here, just so we keep everything leveled and guided, especially we're making a lesson plan on Jamaican cultural heritage. For large language classrooms, you also have the option to change your output language to over 40 plus options right down here. If you're an ESL teacher or a mixed language teacher, this is going to be particularly helpful, because our translate to different languages options are all across the different features that we have. So once you're happy with this very minimal setup, you can go ahead and generate, and you can see how fast and how stable that is in terms of creation, because with just that many fields that we filled out at the beginning, we already are able to create a full lesson plan, as you can see on your screens live. It's pretty fast. Let's just wait out until it finishes. Now that that's done, let me just go back up top. I want to walk you through the essential sections that it created for us. Again, we didn't really have to do any complex prompt engineering. We didn't have to tell it what sections for the lesson plan to have, because it already has default sections to go with any lesson plan that you ask it to create. So for a lesson plan on Jamaican cultural heritage, you have your learning objectives in here. You have your standards alignment to NSC, some vocabulary list of words that would be helpful for students. Kick off whatever lesson you're trying to deliver. We have essential questions to start the session. Here goes your online resources across different resource types, articles, YouTube videos, worksheets. These are all linked just so it's easier for you to go to them and make use of them for later. As you can see in there, these are all linking to relevant resources as listed down here. Now, going forward, this is the total duration that we specified for 60 minutes. You have different breakdowns of how long an opening hook would be, how long direct instruction would be, some guided practice, independent practice, as well as closing. These are all broken down for you because we've specifically put in 60 minutes for a lesson duration.
Osbeth,
We also,
sorry,
yep,
a question.
yep, okay.
Someone asked, can you customize the sections generated in the lesson plan?
Yes, I'm seeing that question from Shauna. Yes, with the additional instructions field, if you want to have specific sections, you can go ahead and specify that just so it could appear in your final lesson plan.
And someone is asking about payment. So, but I guess you'll get to that.
Yes, I'll get to that. But I'm seeing that question very quickly. Yes, we do accept major debit and credit cards for checkouts. So no worries about that. Okay, I hope that's all for now. Going back, you have your differentiation, assessments, reflections up to homework ideas. In terms of customization, like Shauna asked, you can set that out as you design your lesson plan before you even create something. But even after creation, you also can take over whatever AI has created for you, because this is a text block editor that you can completely take over from. Like, you have different formatting options in here. You can even add images as well to make it more visual. But once you're happy with what it returned to you as an output, one of the key functions that we have on Edcafe AI is the ability to save your lesson plans, not just lesson plans, but any AI-generated resources in a Google Drive-like library. As you can see in here, I have different folders that help me organize my content better. I have a specific folder for our workshop right in here. I'm just going to go ahead and save that inside my live workshop folder. And what you will see in here is the saved file. This is how saved files in Edcafe AI look like. For a lesson plan specifically, we have a specialized share link. This is meant for you to share with your colleagues or co-teachers, because what this does is give them a link that lets them clone your content. What they would see if you share that link is something like this. They could like your content, they could share that, and they could clone that to their own Edcafe AI library. That way you could completely reuse whatever content you're trying to create across different co-teachers in your space. Now, going back, we also have a couple different options like exporting it to different file formats. You also can edit it if you want to go back to something that doesn't make sense, and also translate it post creation. Now, there are so many in-between features yet that we have to cover, but what I want to do next is go through another part of the planning slew, which is teaching resources. For teaching resources, this is pretty straightforward. It acts much like a Google search, if you will. The only difference is that it curates whatever teaching resources, you try to search across different resource types, whether that be articles, slide decks, videos, or worksheets. For teaching resources, let's say we're looking for resources on natural landmarks in Jamaica. And what I want to have is articles and videos, for example. It's pretty fast and pretty straightforward. Once you click on find teaching resources, you'd get access to, again, whatever resource type that you specified. I've specified articles and videos, and now I have my articles and videos right here. If you'd like to add more category and resource types, you can click on add category and add them down there. If you want to find more, you can just simply click on the find more button. I would say the main difference with a Google search is how you can save these teaching resources, these searches, because for a Google search, once you've searched them, you don't really have the space to search whatever it is that came up as results. But with Edcafe AI, you can save those as teaching resources and go back to them as references for later. I'm just going to go ahead and save that within the same folder, live workshop, and make use of at least one of these articles to create a slide deck next. So what I'm going to do is to visit this first article coming up right there. And as you can see in here, we have a full article on the natural wonders of Jamaica. And what I want to do is to create a slide deck this time around. But just like with lesson plan, you have your input sources right in here. But instead of putting in a simple topic, I would put in a web page resource. And what I would do is copy the link of this article right here. This is the content of this article. And what we want to do is to completely convert this into a full slide deck. So what I would do is paste that as a web page source to Edcafe AI slide deck generator. And I have already prompt as well, just a very simple prompt to put in additional instructions. Basically just echoing that the AI should base the slides primarily on the information from the article link, which is right here. Include local examples to make the slides culturally relevant for a Jamaican audience. And then down here are a couple more options to help you design your slide deck. Number of slides, let's go with 10 to 15. Output language is still pretty much the same, but what really makes this different is how you could choose design themes. Because with most of the large language models, like with ChatGPT, you could create slides, yes, but the slides that you would be able to create are pretty much just black and white. But with Edcafe AI, you would have the option to play around with different design themes right here. I'm going to choose something colorful since we're talking about Jamaica's natural wonders and generate from here. Again, as you can see, pretty similar with lesson plan. The amount of time it took us to get through our prompt with the guided prompt fields is pretty easy because you really just have to do like click drop downs and specify whatever you need in additional instructions, which is something optional. But by default, you already have something that's readily available for you in terms of content generation. So with slide deck, as you can see, pretty fast, pretty smooth. It's already creating a couple of different slides, just like what we specified, we wanted 10 to 15. And so at the end, it generated 14. Let me just go back up top just so you can see the full view of the type of slides that it generated. Okay, so right from here, again, for reference, this is our reference article. And back to the slides that it generated, it accurately put in whatever content from the article also read in here in our slides. You have majestic blue mountains, cloud forest experience, lush rainforests, waterfalls. And the good thing with our slides is apart from you getting to choose your slide theme designs, we picked colorful. That's why the slides are designed this way. You also have your images. And with your images, they are completely customizable because you can click on any image and we have a built-in Google Images search right here. And say, for example, I put in a keyword, Jamaica's natural wonders. And very easily that would return images for me that I could just simply click on one, and that would form part of the slide that we have on screen. Another option for you, if you don't want to do stock images, you also can create AI images right on the spot by simply describing what kind of image you want to create. You can base it off of text and choose a style from lots of different styles from here that fits any presentation that you have in mind. You also have the option to upload manual images from your device. That way you have lots of different options to really customize your visuals in your slides. A couple other options is how you can regenerate this slide if you're not so happy with the content. We have a ready AI assistant to help you regenerate whatever content you have on your existing slides, as well as repositioning your images, just so it's more dynamic and customizable for you to play around with. Okay, now once I'm happy with this, what I'm gonna do is, again, just like with lesson plan, save this to my inbuilt library, again, within the same folder. And what this does mainly is help you export that to either Microsoft PowerPoint or Google Slides. You also can have your custom share link, just so you can share it to other teachers if you will. And then, as you can see, something different in here is the assign feature. If you're working with students and you'd like them to access your slides beforehand, this is going to be really helpful because you can have them simply scan this QR code. All of you in this webinar, you also can make use of this assign feature. Just scan this or copy that link. What this does mainly is give your students access to your slides without them having to download or you having to send them any file in exchange. Because once they access this link that you share with them, they can access your slides using any device, anytime, anywhere, just like so. Perfect for kickstarting whatever presentation you have before the class even begins, or if you'd like to share this as a practice material, reference material after the class. Again, you don't really have to save them. Send them to students and have them access it, download them, because with just your assign link or QR code, anyone can access your materials. All right, that is slide deck for you. We've covered pretty much everything in planning. We have lesson plan, teaching resources, and slide deck. Sorry, water break live. But we have teaching and learning materials next. I am going to cover a couple of those in here, but I do want to hear from you though. Leanne, do we have any questions so far?
I believe you answered all the questions that were asked, but of course, I don't know if you're seeing the chat. People are just very, very excited. So I think go ahead. But you've answered all the
Okay.
questions that persons asked so far, yes.
Okay, perfect. I'm so happy. I'm so happy to be seeing all of this energy on the chat. I'm happy to move forward. What I want to do next is something that you guys also wanted to see is flashcards. With flashcards, again, pretty much the same, because we don't really want to confuse you with the interface. So as you may have probably observed, the interface is pretty standard. It welcomes you with input sources, just like with other content that we have. You have the option to put in topic, text, web page, and file. But for flashcards, what I would do actually is to make use of the slide deck that we created a while ago and upload that as a file source. So let me just go ahead and upload it right here. Okay, right there is my PowerPoint, the same PowerPoint slide that we created. on Jamaica's natural wonders, and that's what I want to create flashcards from. That is the main topic that I want my flashcards to be. And down here is just a little bit different because you have different options for templates. These are ready-made templates for you to create your flashcards with. What is different from these templates is that the templates come with ready prompts for what goes at the front and back of each card. Whether you're working with vocabulary cards, term and definition, these prompts are already ready for you. You don't have to fill them in. But of course, these are completely editable. If you like something specific, you also can add that. If you'd like to remove anything, you also can do so. But for Jamaica's natural wonders, I would probably go with term and definition, just so it's pretty straightforward. We can select a single key term from the slides and then have some examples and definitions at the back of each card. Now down here, you can choose number of cards. For presentation's sake, let's just go with 10. And to make it more visual, you can add images to it, either to the front and back of each card, or you can add that for later. But just so we can make it more visual and something that's more aesthetic, let's just automatically add images to the front. One thing that's slightly different from lesson plan and slide deck is the ability to tag student level. For flashcards, you can tag a specific student level, just so AI could level whatever language it would use to a specific grade level that you teach. You can put that down here, but for demo's sake, I'm just going to leave that blank and let's see what it generates. Now it's generating. I think this is the end of it since we specified 10. Let me just go back up top. Again, the main slide deck that I used looks something like, I don't think I'm sharing my screen, but that's okay. But the main slide deck I used is another slide deck that I prepared before the session, which mainly has the natural wonders of Jamaica. And as you can see, it accurately created flashcards based on the natural wonders that you guys have in your beautiful country. You have 7 Mile Beach, Jamaican Iguana, Green Grotto Caves, Dunn's River Falls. And for the front cards, just like what we've specified, it comes with automatic images right there. And the back of each card would be a definition and a supporting example. Now, you have your images right here, but you also can customize that. Much like in slides, this one already comes with default keywords that are relevant to the definition on the front of each of your cards. So you can definitely change this if you're looking for something different. But since this is already pre-made for you, the keywords are already preset for you, you can just select other options very conveniently right there. But I'm pretty happy. I hope you guys are also happy with how this is looking. I actually am pretty happy. Probably let's change this one because it has a watermark, something as clean as that, maybe. And if you have anything that you'd like to add at the back of each card, you also can add images in there. But I don't want to overdo it, so let's just leave the images at the front of each card. And what I would do next is to put in some voice actors in our flashcards. Through this button, you can choose voice and generate audio for your flashcards. We have different voice actors right in here, some multilingual ones as well. You can play that.
Let's practice. ¿Cómo se dice book en español?
For Spanish teachers. You also have different other multilingual voice actors in here that could do local accents, just so your flashcards are way more accessible for different language classrooms. But for demo's sake, I'm just going to go with Stacy for the US and select that. And I'm very excited because this is going to make assigning to students way different because you have your voice actors in there as well. But what I would do next, again, is save that for every content that you create in Edcafe. Don't forget to save that to your library, because from there is where you would be able to make use of the key functions that we have, like assign, share, and export. Now, as you can see in here from your saved file, you already have your flashcards ready. But again, Edcafe AI lightens the load for you by assigning this to students directly itself. So you can, for all of you tuned in here, you can role play as my students. You can simply just scan this QR code and access the sets of flashcards from your phones probably. But if you don't have access to that, I'm just going to go ahead and copy the link and share that to the chat. So you can access it through the link as well. Together with you, I'm doing that as a student. This is what they would see. Slightly different interface from slide deck because flashcards is meant for studying. So your students would have different study options, whether they want to shuffle your cards, autoplay the sound, the voice actors that come with it, or swap front and back. But I'm just going to leave everything blank and start studying. As you can see in here, you can, as a student, you can start practicing. I know are still learning. You have your progress bar down here, just so you're guided as a student. What are some of the other cards that you have to go back to next? And this is the voice actor that we've attached, Stacy, to help
The
us.
Luminous Lagoon is a magical water body in Jamaica famous for its nighttime bioluminescent light show.
Right there, it's very easy because even with read alouds, you can have an assistant ready for you. Let's just go ahead and put everything in I know. Because once that's done, this is the page that your students will see. Congratulations, you completed all your flashcards. These are all the cards that your students just had practiced with, and they can restart that and probably play with different study options from there. All right, that's flashcards for you. Going back to the teacher side, you have way more expert options right in here. You have some file options for Microsoft, Google Docs, and even PDF, just so it's easier for you to store it for later. Okay, so that's flashcards. I am happy to move forward with another learning and teaching material, which is somewhat helpful as well for language practice or comprehension checks, which is reading activity. I have in here some different options for input sources. We don't have a file in here because by nature, this is a reading activity. So what I would go for is vocabulary, for example, because I have a list of vocabulary in here that are relevant to Jamaica. I have a list of different vocabulary words like reggae, jerk chicken, patois, Blue Mountains, Aki, and saltfish, and so much more. And what I want to do as a reading activity is for Edcafe AI to create a reading passage making use of these vocabulary words in an engaging fictional story set in Jamaica that captures the heart of local culture. So if you would start this from scratch, there could be lots of time spent on thinking, because how would you be able to incorporate all of these vocabulary words in a completely readable passage? But with Edcafe AI's reading activity, this is going to be way easier because you also can tag your specific student level, just so you can adjust the reading tone and reading level of whatever class you're teaching. But for demo's sake, I'm just going to leave that blank. But definitely, if you're teaching a specific grade level, you can tag that right there. So with that, with the list of vocabulary words that we've specified and the additional instructions that we told it to do, this is what it came up with, a 500-word reading passage with all of the vocabulary words that we listed in a fictional story set in Jamaica. Something like that. Again, this is completely editable. If you want to take over, this is a block text editor that you can probably format, bold, put everything in italic or underline, or even add images just to make it more visual. And up here, you also can, again, just like with flashcards, you can add audio with specific voice actors that you'd like. I'm just going to generate that just so our reading passage comes with an audio, text to audio support. And down here are a couple more options to play around with. Since we already created a reading passage based on a list of vocabulary, I'm not anymore going to add vocabulary. What I'm going to do is to add a passage quiz instead. So with the quiz, you have different options for question types, whether that would be a multiple choice, short answer, or mixed. For example's sake, I'm going to go with mixed and I'm going to go with 5 questions. Let's go ahead and generate. Again, very quickly, right on the spot, it was able to create a set of quiz questions based off of the reading passage that it just generated. As you can see up here, it's all formatted. You have your questions for multiple choice. You have different answer choices down here, some correct answers, and even contextual explanations. This is going to be particularly helpful for when you assign this to students later and they work on it on their devices on their own.
Question.
Okay.
Someone wants to know if these can be printed. And I'm seeing Michelle also has a question. Would you mind taking that question?
Yep. On the question on being printed, yes, because you can export this as a PDF file. You can then print it right after.
Michelle, go ahead.
Thank you. I wanted to ask for these quiz questions that have been generated. Can you edit them? I'm not really seeing where I can edit each question. Can they be edited? And could
Yes,
you show how?
Yep, for sure. They can be edited. You can just click on one question item. For example, we want to edit number 2. And then you can just go ahead and type anything that you'd like to do or remove. Like so.
So the entire thing is a text block that you can edit for
Yes.
all the sections. Beautiful.
Yes, and not just the questions, you also can adjust the answer choices and even the contextual explanations if that helps. Okay, hope that answers your questions. A couple of other customization options as well is how you can regenerate and even add images to your question items if you want to make it more visual. If you want to add more questions in between or right after, you can with this plus button. You can either add an AI generated question, whether that be a multiple choice or short answer, or add something completely blank for manual work. You also can do so.
Another question. This one is a little more difficult. Can you adjust the question types according to Bloom's taxonomy?
Yes, I would say definitely, especially for our dedicated quiz feature. Within the additional instructions field, you can specify how you want your questions framed, and you can put in Bloom's taxonomy, whether a specific level in Bloom's taxonomy or all of it, depending on how you want to design your questions, you can. Okay, I hope that answers your questions. I'm very happy to answer your questions along the way. Let's address as many as possible on the spot. With that, I think I can go ahead and save this. Again, it's a good practice to always save your content just so you can access this saved file page right here where you can start assigning it to students. Now, again, feel free to scan this QR code just so you can go through with me as you access this on devices as students, because this is going to be pretty interactive, because this is different from just flashcards and slide deck where you view dynamic content. Because with reading activity as a student, you get a quiz as well, which I will show you how that looks. Right here, this is the student view for reading activity. You have your drop downs in here for the reading passage. If we had vocabulary words, we'd have another drop down for that list. And right here is the audio that we generated.
The sun was beginning to set over the lush hills of Jamaica's Blue Mountains, casting a golden glow on the small village of Port Royal.
Right there. And down here is the quiz. So the good thing about Edcafe AI is that it doesn't really force students to create student accounts and sign into a student account. What they have to do very simply is just to put in their names and play the quiz. For reading activity, if they're using a laptop, it would give them a split screen so they can access both the reading passage and the quiz question that comes with it. Makes it really easy. If you are going through a reading activity, this is perfect because they can very conveniently access all of the vocabulary words and key points from your reading passage, and at the same time, work on the quiz questions that you have for there. Really ups comprehension checks right there. For the short answer questions, I'm just gonna do test for demo's sake, but what I really wanna show you is how this gives personalized feedback and automated marking afterwards. So as a student, once you submit your answers, this is how that would look like. Let me just go back up tab. They have their personalized feedback in here on how they did throughout the quiz. You did well by answering 2 out of 3 questions. However, your short answer responses were quite brief and did not address the questions fully. Because as you would remember, we just put in test for the short answer questions. This is my auto grading for the multiple choice questions that I have. And right down here are some contextual explanations to help them with further learning on answering the Y to each correct answer. This is an incorrect question item that I have, and this accurately walks me through what is the correct answer and why that is the correct answer. For short answer, apart from suggested answers for contextual explanations, we also have a writing feedback on the spot. As you can see in here, I answered with test. My writing feedback was too brief, did not cover the key elements of the question, and how that should connect to the central theme of that question item, which is pretty big, because as a teacher, you would imagine going through, if you were hosting a 5-question quiz, going through it to a 30-student class, that would be how many? And that would take so much of your time. But with Edcafe AI, this helps you really gets to marking and feedback, not making it feel robotic, because it feels personal and it feels very much like you. So that's for students. What I want to show you next is how that looks like on the teacher side. So on the teacher side, you have your responses dashboard. This is your tracking dashboard for all of the responses that you're getting. So you have some views for questions and you have a view for participants. For your question view, you have some analytics on how each question is performing based on the responses that you're getting. So you can identify learning gaps as early as possible. And down here, right here from the participants is where you can access individual submissions, accessing the individual feedback that your students also have gotten. And to top it all off, you also can download that as a separate report. This can be downloaded as a CSV convertible to Excel file, just so you can save it for later and assess whatever needs to be assessed on the spot. Shauna, your question on whether this could be printed, you can just simply export that as a PDF and then start printing right away after. So yeah, that's reading activity for you. That is how interactive, just like what I've said, how interactive Edcafe AI is, and how Edcafe AI doesn't just stop at content generation, because it goes over just generating content for you and really go through interacting with your students directly. But a couple other functions as well that I would like to show you around are some here in the assessment group. But before that, I want to quickly show you summary notes, because this helps you create quick summaries of whatever content that you have. I have a book from Michael Thelwell that I'd like to upload and summarize. This is The Harder They Come. And I really don't want to put in additional instructions, because I want to show you how by default it synthesizes information from any file that you have and summarizes that into a quick note. Let's just go ahead and generate. If you're familiar with the book, you'd know that it's a very lengthy book by Michael Thelwell. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the pages are in total over 100. No, not even 100, 404 pages. But as you can see in here, it was able to summarize the entire book for us. It's still going because it's a pretty lengthy book. But going back up top, this is a sample summary note, which is helpful if you'd like to share any summary to your students, especially for books or for any lengthy information that you have. You can have your overview, some key points. It would break down some high level talking discussion points in this case in the book that we fed it with, and closing it with a conclusion as well. And again, this is a block editor that you can take over and edit and even add images and links. I'm not going to save that because it's a pretty quick resource that you can use one-off, but that's summary note for you. All right. I think at this point I would go to the assessments. First off, I want to go to quiz. This is pretty straightforward. Again, I feel like you're already getting a hang of how Edcafe AI looks like, I hope. But I would like for Leanne to quickly take over from here just so I could probably draw up some names for our first winner of Edcafe AI premium accounts, if that's okay.
Sure. So far, you would have seen quite a number of features, and there are more features to come. So he's going to be back because he's going to be sharing the first premium account giveaway. All right. So, I mean, I really hope that you'll are seeing how wonderful this tool is. And there are a couple of questions there that if it can be integrated into an LMS, certainly it can, because you can share both the QR code. You can also, it's also, there's an embed code as well. Shauna, I will wait for Osbert to answer your question in terms of if there's a way to train the AI to grade using the teacher's thought process. And in terms of, he's going to get to the pricing features just now. And the good news is that a lot of the tools that he's showing you can be used for free, as well as the premium price is not really expensive, but he'll get into that very shortly. All right. So share with us in the meantime how you think you can see yourself using this tool in the classroom. Like, which of the features so far do you think really stands out to you? So share with us in the chat while he comes back. He's going to be announcing the winner very soon, who's going to win a full premium package. So Maggie is saying the flashcards, definitely. And I saw along the way, some persons are saying, you know, they can see themselves using this with their students right away. And you can see how quickly. For me, resources, love the flashcards also. Yes, and I really like the fact that you can put the voices in so to help students who have difficulties reading. So really good for slide differentiation. Slide decks, flashcard and the voices, love it. Summary generation and the flashcards, wonderful. I like the lesson plan, integrating the flashcard and the summary content, the reading, automatic feedback. Marsha said she loves everything so far. Shada says the same, all of it. Flashcards and slides are definitely winners. The whole quiz. I'll be using the slide deck for my courses, the reading activities needed in my pedagogy to combat our literacy crisis. The entire interface is useful, and I like the focus on teaching and learning. Love it. Slide deck, love adding voiceovers, flashcards, slides. All right, are you ready?
Yes, I'm so very happy actually hearing their feedback in the background. But thank you so much for filling me in, Leanne. Now I have your names from here, from all of the participants in this Zoom chat, of course, excluding Leanne. I'm so sorry, Leanne, but I do know that you already have your accounts. But right here, I have your names, and I'm just gonna quickly shuffle that, just so for fairness. And for our first winner, again, this is just the first winner of the day. The other two will be towards the end of our session. But for our first winner, let's just go ahead and spin that and see who wins. Yay. Yeah. Congratulations, Megan. Megan, Ali.
Congratulations.
All right, Megan, you are one of the winners of Edcafe AI premium accounts that was spent for a full year. On any information on how you can claim your account, I will be sharing that towards the end of the session together with the two other winners that we have for today. But again, congratulations. For now, I'm going to go back quickly to where we left off. We have quiz. So right here, again, I feel like you're getting a hang of Edcafe already at this point. So as you can see in here, you have your input sources, but specifically for quiz, what I want to do is to create a quiz on Jamaican history. And that's going to be as a simple topic. A couple of other options in here is the question type. I would go with something mixed. And just for demo's sake, let's just go probably with 10. In the additional instructions fields, I would want the AI to strictly cover key events and notable figures spanning from the colonial period, the fight for independence, up to post-independence developments, and to the modern era. And again, right down here, I think you're already familiar on how you can tag your student level and output languages as well. Let's see how that would generate a set of quiz questions for us. It's going to be quite different because this is not going to be coming from a reading passage, much like in the reading activity generator that we have, because this is completely made from whatever topic or input source that you've specified. But since this is on Jamaican history, I am not the most knowledgeable in Jamaican history. I am so sorry, but I hope the questions that it generated do make sense to all of you, being you're more familiar than me. So right in here, again, it's always a good practice to still review whatever AI is creating for you, because there is nothing that would really replace the double checking that a teacher could do in terms of quality checks like so. But supposedly this should be as accurate as it possibly can, because again, it's making use of the most powerful large language models known, so it should work just as fine. What I'm gonna do next is to save this quiz and have you access that quiz. Again, we can role play as students. You can access that quiz right from here. You can scan this. I'm also gonna share this link in the chat.
Could you do me a favor, please? Is it possible for you to also share the embedded code? I want to test it in the LMS.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Right there is the embed code. Embed code mainly is going to be an iframe to wherever you're going to paste it, just so it's way convenient. Wherever you paste it, it could be completely embedded and not just a thumbnail. Okay, I hope you've accessed the quiz. I'm going to go through it with you right here. Again, no student accounts needed. You can just go ahead and put in your name as a student. You can go through the quiz questions. It's all formatted in a form like interface like so. For students, this is going to be pretty helpful because it's easy to go through the questions one by one. And for you, you don't really have to do any work further. Because if you would imagine, you would have to put this in, say, Google Forms or Microsoft Forms, and that would entail lots of different manual work setting this up.
So question,
Yeah.
Daryl wants to know, how do you verify the content source for the quiz? Is there a way to verify the content source?
Right now we don't have that, although that would be a really ideal feature actually. I will take note of that just so we could feedback that to the team. I think that would be really great to have a content source checker. All right. Okay. Again, I'm just gonna go ahead and submit my answers. I'm hoping you guys have time to also go through the quiz. Because what happens as you go through the quiz right in here, I've already submitted. I had 0 answers correct. But this is my feedback. These are some of the contextual explanations that go with multiple choice and some writing feedback as well that is tied in with short answer. And in real time, as you can see in here, that is already recorded on your teacher tracking dashboard. That way, it's easier for you to really track in real time whatever your students are submitting at a given time. Again, if this were like a large class, you could see this number. As you can see, it already added something as someone submitted their answers. Yep, we're getting more responses from the link. It's real time. Even the charts are real time. They're moving as the responses come in, which is pretty helpful even with the participants view, because you can quickly spot different learning gaps if there are, and really get to your student submissions right on time. Thank you, Sharon, for submitting. I think from here, we can move forward. I mainly just really want to show you how that works real time with the tracking dashboards and how the quiz works as a dedicated feature. Again, you can use it in a million different ways, depending on what topic that you have, depending on what input source you have. You can make use of any existing files at the same time. So it's a really efficient tool, a very efficient quizzing tool for you to make use on the daily, whether you'd like to do something low stakes, if you want to do something more formative, you also can. With the additional instructions fields, you can design what type of questions you'd like. And even the type of multiple choice options that you have, you can make it difficult, you can make it, you can make it tricky, just so the type of quiz that you will create is something on the more challenging side of things. We're still getting in responses. We're still getting responses in our dashboard. As you can see, it's real time. But from here, I would want to move forward with something similar, but instead this is coming from a quiz. This is very interesting, I would say, because it's very convenient. This makes video assignments way more fun because I have a YouTube quiz in here that covers how did Jamaica become a country? This is an educational video that is helpful for students, if you will. If you have any other topic in mind, you can put that in as long as your YouTube video has closed captions. But what mainly this does is parsing the video that you've pasted in as a reference. Let's just wait out. And as you can see in here, this is Edcafe. It was able to get that exact video. And what this would do is to generate quiz questions from that very video that you have in there. For the setup, it's pretty much the same as the dedicated quiz generator. It's just that instead of different input sources like topic, text, web page, or file, your input source here mainly is the YouTube video that you've linked up. For demo's sake, let's just go with multiple choice in a set of 5 questions, and let's leave everything blank. And I want to show you how the quiz questions tie in perfectly to the video that you have linked up. Michelle, I'm very happy to know that the embed is something that's within your standards. I'm really glad to hear that that's beautiful for you. Thank you so much. Again, going back, these are the questions that it generated, pretty much the same as the dedicated quiz feature and reading activity. But I do want to show you how dynamically this would look like on the student side, because once you assign this, you also can try it on your phones. You can simply scan this. I'm also going to be sharing the link over to the Zoom chat. But what it does is instead of just a form, it gives you a split screen. But with reading activity, instead of the reading passage, in here is the video already embedded within the same form. You can play that.
In the Caribbean Sea, off the coasts of Cuba and Haiti, lies the island of Jamaica.
As a student, that is really helpful because as they watch and go through whatever YouTube video that you've linked, they can go through the questions at the same time, making learning more visual, making it more dynamic, and making it more interactive than ever. Again, I'm just going to go ahead and submit my answers. If you've accessed this link that I've shared or this QR code, you would then be able to see as well the video that's linked up that is going to be automatically embedded in any device, just so you can work hand in hand together with the video and the quiz questions. All right, that's YouTube quiz. That's mainly the difference between reading activity, the dedicated quiz feature, and YouTube quiz. But we're getting near to the end of the presentation because I have 2 more features left to show you guys. Next up is assignment grader, because I specifically left out assignment grader and chatbot for later because these are some of the tools that you might probably use after class hours, because this supports 24/7 learning. It's really helpful if you'd like something assigned to students asynchronously. So say with an assignment grader, it's quite different because it doesn't have your usual input sources, because again, The idea is to create an assignment that comes with an auto grader, auto marking, and auto feedback. So with assignment grader, you have a couple different fields in here. You have your assignment details, which is going to be visible to students. Essentially, these are the instructions that your students would have to follow for an assignment. And as an example, I would want to create a writing assignment. And just going to paste that right down here. What I would want my students to do is to write a 300-word essay that covers the following aspects of the solar system. I have a couple metrics in here. You should have an overview. You should have your planet details, celestial bodies, and the importance of studying the solar system. And right down here is your grading instruction. Again, just echoing that your assignment details are the ones that are visible to your students. Your grading instruction, however, is your instruction for the AI, how you'd want the AI to grade your students' work, how you'd want the AI to give feedback. So for this grading instruction field, I would want to include a separate section named rubric compliance, breaking down detailed feedback based on criteria on the attached rubric. And where can you attach your rubric is right down here. I have a sample rubric that I have based solely on solar system, and I'm just going to attach that right there, just so we could have a full feedback that is completely based off of our own rubrics as an example. So once you're happy with your setup, just go ahead and create. It would prompt you to directly save that to your library. And right here, this is your saved file, pretty much just the same as all other saved Edcafe AI files, but without the preview, because what this does is to give you directly the link to the assignment that your students can access. You can allow multiple submissions per participant. You can turn that off as well. And you can put your submissions live or on live, since this is an assignment. Sometimes your students have to work through a deadline. You can put this off just so they can choose. You can have them not pass past a deadline. So going back to what students would see, again, this is the assignment details that are visible to them. These are mainly the instructions that they have to accomplish. And right down here, very straightforward, is something that they can submit either through text or file. For the files, your students can submit handwritten work. They can write on a traditional pen and paper, and picture of that. Once you upload that in here as a student, the AI would then be able to recognize your handwriting at the same time. So as an example, I am going to do a text submission as a student. This is something that I would want to put in. For example, my name is Vernon, and I would submit. Very quickly, traditional assignments, as you would, it would have to take the entire weekend as a teacher for you to grade and mark and give feedback to every assignment to every student. That would take a minimum of, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 days, especially if it's a writing assessment as rigid as this. But as you can see in here, I've submitted a text submission as a student, but it didn't really take even 20 seconds for the AI to generate feedback for me. So you have your overall comments right in here for the students. Just like what I've designed this assignment grader to be, I wanted it to have a rubric compliance section. This is the rubric compliance with auto marking as well, whether that is good or not based on the rubric that I've attached. It has broken down every single criteria that I have on my rubric based on what my student has submitted. And down here are a couple more default sections with what you did well, what to improve, and the next steps that you have to take, just so it's more reflective and more conclusive as feedback.
Someone wants to know if there are any plagiarism checkers included.
Within the platform, there are no built-in plagiarism checkers, but also that is one of the most requested features, so I'm happy to echo that to the team. Right, okay, again, just going back to the teacher dashboard, pretty much just the same as the other quiz types. You also have your assignment right there. But this time around, you will have an access to every submission that your students have right there. So you can see what they're submitting, what feedback they're getting. You also can export that. And if you're not very happy with the feedback that AI has given your student, you can edit that, take over, make mini notes that makes it more personal for you, or even regenerate that if you're not so happy. And then you can quickly copy that and send it back to your students with the new comments as well. Now, if you have students manually or submitting their submissions offline, you can also add those yourself right here with the add submission button. You can also put in text or file. Again, handwriting recognition is supported. You also can upload multiple submissions as well, and that would include different files that you can upload in one single time. So that's it for assignment grader. Really excited though, because we're going down to our last feature that's featured for today. But I think I'm just gonna go through some of the comments. I have one that's unanswered from Daryl. Does it autocorrect your feedback? I'm not very sure. Do you want to expound more on your question? But the idea really is for AI to make your feedback initially for you. If you're not happy, you have the option to edit that and regenerate that on the spot. But ideally, the concept of assignment grader is for you to design it exactly the way you want, even with rubrics. That way you can guide it on how your students are graded. Referring to the edited version, yes, it can autocorrect your feedback as well in there because it gives you full control with a text block editor. Thank you so much, Solange, for being so in love with the assignment grader. Shauna, is there a way to train the AI to grade using the teacher's thought process? Yes, definitely. I would say that is something that you can do not just in assignment grader, but all across other features that we have. The closest thing I would say that you can do that is through making use of our snippets feature. So right in here, for every single content generator that we have on Edcafe, you have these snippets where you can save, say, your specific tone as a teacher, your specific style in teaching, what's your personality, what's your background as a teacher. That way, every single time you would create content from Edcafe, you can just go ahead and make use of that snippet as part of your prompt. So AI could be guided on what kind of direction it would take in creating your content based off of your teaching background. All right, if there are no more questions, I'm going through the last feature that I have on the list, and also one of the most popular features that we have. Teachers are so in love and obsessed with our chatbot feature. Right in here, it's quite different because it's very straightforward. The first thing that it would ask you is, what do you want your chatbot to do? So the main idea behind chatbot is for you as a teacher to design student-facing chatbots. If you will, you could think of it as creating your own chat GPT, but something that's completely made for students and made for educational context, of course. Now, with chatbots, there are a million different ways that you can design this. You could probably make it as a study guide, a quiz bot, a Q&A bot, a trivia bot, all of the other things that you could probably think of. But for example's sake, I have in here a ready prompt for a bot that would act as a friendly English study guide chatbot for students learning ESL. So the goal is to help students review grammar, vocab, reading skills through short explanation examples and practice questions. Now you have two options in here, whether you have your own prompt that you don't want to change, but by default, you can just go ahead and create your chatbot. But what it does is, as you can see at the beginning, I have a very vague prompt. I only have 2 lines of prompt that I have in there. But once you create your chatbot, there is a prompt assistant that would help you even further engineer whatever prompts that you've initially put in. So right in here, my prompt assistant helps me create a list of roles and objectives for my chatbot, some guided steps, interaction guidelines, and greeting message. This is all based off of that very simple prompt that I put in at the beginning. And as you can see in here, it looks very engineered already, just so it could help us create the perfect chatbot based off our main central focus or main central idea that we've specified at first. But if you would see in here, you have a couple of different options really, because in the side panel, first off, you'd have your chatbot capabilities. Your chatbot capabilities is what your students will be able to make use of once they interact with your chatbot. Would you allow file uploads? You can also allow voice messages. You can also allow whiteboard. This is perfect for brainstorming. They can draw on a whiteboard and have the chatbot analyze that for them. They could do drawings, sketches, and have feedback from the chatbot that you create, whatever chatbot that might be. You also have your text editor, perfect for writing tasks. If this was a writing chatbot, that would be most ideal. And something that's pretty niche for coding students, this is helpful. You can enable code editor. That way you could give your students access to an editor where they can paste in some JSON format or JavaScripts that could further help the AI analyze what they're trying to have feedback from. Right down here after the chatbot. Oh, Leanne, is there anything?
Yeah, there's a question. What are the dimensions or size for the bot's image? We tried changing the image, but we had a little challenge getting it to fit perfectly.
Okay. Were you trying to upload your own?
Yes, they were
Yes.
trying to.
Yeah. I would say, personally, I would say something that's square because our chatbot icon is pretty much shaped like so. So anything that's in the ratio of a square, like 5x5, 4x4, 3x3 is going to be best as long as it doesn't exceed 5 MB. Yeah, because if it's in a different ratio, like if it's 16:9 or 4:13, it could be a little stretched to look at and might not fit. Okay, all right. Going back, after capabilities, you have knowledge. Essentially, this is where you could build the knowledge base of your chatbot, the brain of your chatbot. A couple of other options that you have in here is files, web page, and text note. You can build on multiple files, multiple web pages, multiple text notes as resources, and that would form part as the brain of your chatbot. And you also have the option to strictly have the chatbot refer the knowledge base that you've uploaded and not make use of general knowledge, because by default, it's going to make use of general knowledge based on the training model that it works on. But if you have your own files, web page, and text note right in here, it's going to refer strictly to whatever you feed it with, which is great for building the brain of your chatbot. And then lastly are the languages. Again, both languages and different voice actors, because essentially this chatbot is able to talk to your students as well. So once you're happy with your setup, you can go ahead and save that in your library. Again, this is going to be a friendly ESL tutor for English learners. And what that would look like on the student side is something like so. Key in your name as a student, and this is something that they would be able to encounter. With the help of our prompt assistant, it was able to create even a greeting message for the chatbot. As a student, this is something that's very interactive because I do know where to get from just the initial message. But for example's sake, I want to ask it to help me review present perfect tense. And as you can see in here, it's already breaking down some explanations, examples, and even practice questions all at the same time, just so it could act much like an actual tutor, depending on the design that you've set it. And then a couple of capabilities in here is the voice support. As a student, you can directly talk to the chatbot, and that would transcribe whatever voice your recording into text. Like that. This is exactly what I just said. It transcribed to text, and my chatbot just replied to that, even though, yeah, it's just something on the spot. But right down here are some of the chatbot capabilities that we've set earlier. For this specific chatbot, I've only allowed document and image, just so your students can upload any images or documents they want the AI to analyze for them. And then back to the teacher side, you have your dedicated dashboard right in here. It looks a little bit different than the tracking dashboards that we have on Quiz and Assignment Grader, because this one has an engagement metric, just so in bird's eye view, you get to see how your students, if this were an entire class, it's easier for you to see the engagement level per student in a bird's eye view. You can track the entire thread as well right in here. But before checking the entire thread, you also would have access to an AI summary that basically synthesizes the entire chat history that your student has on a specific chat thread within the chatbot. So it's easier for you to really look at how your student is conversing with that chatbot. A couple of safeguards that we have in place is that if students are kind of derailed in terms of communicating with a chatbot, if your student sends something disturbing or inappropriate, this would give you a red flag and a red alert, just so it's easier for you to really take control of these conversations and get in touch with that student that's having disturbing conversations with the chatbot. So everything is safe. Again, it's made for the classrooms, it's made for schools. That's why we really intentionally put in some safeguards within these features, especially for the chatbots. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all of the features that we have on Edcafe. It's pretty I hope it's pretty informational and educational for all of you tuned in here. I've covered some of the features that we have on planning, learning materials, and assessment. Um, and yeah, I think from here I can call Leanne back in again, so I can maybe draw some other names
So
for
before you
the.
draw, if you could just tell them a little bit about the pricing.
Okay, yeah.
Somebody is asking how many accents are there in the chatbot? Maybe time to add a Caribbean accent. Just throwing that out there.
Oh, okay, right. So with the accents, we have 4 multilingual voice actors. So far, that is Spanish. I have yet to confirm the other multilingual voice actors, but definitely I would feed back to the team. Maybe we could have a specific Caribbean accent in there as well. But for the pricing, we have our website right in here. If you go to our pricing page, this is where you can see the plan that's meant for you. On a starter plan, we have it forever free. It has a very generous AI generations on a monthly basis of 100, meaning you can create 100 types of content all throughout whatever type it is, 100 times that is refreshable month per month. You also get a maximum of 40 participants per quiz, chatbots, and assignment grader. But once you decide to go to pro, you would then get more cap for monthly AI generation that ups from 100 to 1,000, and a couple more that are locked within the free version are slides generator, teaching resources finder, and image and speech. But if you'd like to upgrade to something that's doesn't come with any limitations, primarily everything that's in Pro but unlimited is in Premium right here. But yeah, I would say pretty affordable, if you would, because at 179 for a full year, you would get premium already, and that comes with no limitations. For Pro, it's also a pretty good deal. with the amount of monthly AI generations that you get. But if you're on a budget, our forever free version also covers much more of, the core features that we already have. So it's still pretty much doable for everyday teaching, even on a forever free version. All right, Leanne, I think from here I can draw some names for the final.
Yes, indeed. I think people are looking to see if their names are going to pop up. All right, so I think you have seen quite a lot. Michelle is saying it is eye-opening. I find the new educational tools are quite attuned to the 21st century learner, and this is among my top tools. Thank you very much. So let's see who our next two winners will be. And of course, continue to join us on 21st Century Educators following our Facebook page. Make sure you're part of the email listing. We have some more sessions coming up. All right, so check us out. Message us if you would like to have specific topics covered. We do also come to your schools, etc., and to your workplaces to do professional development. So feel free to reach out to us. And I'm going to put the email just in case you're not sure what our email is while we wait to see who our next two winners are.
Right. Leanne, I also want to quickly address what Maggie is sending. Yes, you're correct. On the side, if you are seeing slashed or discounted prices, that is because you're a new user. For new users, we also offer discounts that's going to make the plans cheaper for when you want to upgrade right on the spot.
Right, so let's see who our next two winners are.
Okay, I've shuffled this quite a number of times already. So let's go ahead and spin it. Okay, we have Sharda Amadali.
Congratulations. One more.
Congratulations.
Is
Is
Sharda
Sharda?
with us?
Hope Sharda is here.
Yes,
But
she
yeah.
is. Congrats.
Yay.
And
Okay,
one more.
last person winning Edcafe AI premium accounts for a full year. We have Megan and Sharda. Oh, Sharda again. Is it Sharda again? It's Sharda again. Okay.
Okay,
Well,
we could remove it.
we should remove. Okay, perfect. Wow, there's so much luck in Sharda's side today. Tonight, rather. Let's see who comes next. Hey, Mikhail, good for you.
Mikhail here with us. Yes. Congratulations, Mikhail.
Yay, perfect. We have Megan, Sharda, and Mikhail. Again, congratulations for winning Edcafe AI premium accounts. If you could just kindly send me an email through berts@edcafe.ai. Ideally, hopefully you already have signed up for a free account. If you can send me your email address that you've used in signing up for an Edcafe AI account, that would be great, so I could apply your premium accounts right away.
Congratulations, everyone. And thank you so much. Of course, please share with us, your thoughts. I mean, you're always sharing all the wonderful thoughts throughout. But of course, we would like to thank Osbert. As I said, he's 12 hours ahead of us. So he got up very early this morning to make sure to share this with you. And it, of course, was a wonderful session. I love it. Osbert, what can you share the email again?
Oh, I'm sorry. I can copy. It's bert@edcafe.ai.
All right, there you go. All right, so wonderful. Thank you very much. And I would like to take the opportunity to say thank you for joining us. I know some of our, usual persons weren't able to come online, but we will make sure to post it so you can have the session again, share it with your friends. And congratulations to all our winners. So, Ospet, we will chat. Thank you very much. Bye, everyone.
Thank
Thank you, everyone.
you.
Bye-bye.
So nice to meet all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.